And our next punctuation mark is the colon. Colon is those two little dots, just like that. The colon signals to the reader that a list, a quotation, or an explanation will follow the colon. For instance, I have right here the word colon followed by a colon, meaning the definition will follow the word. Colon use number 1. Use a colon before a list of items. Example, Haley went to the store and bought 3 items, colon, milk, bread, and eggs. In this case, as it says up here, when you're about to give a list of things, you introduce the things before the colon, and then after the colon, you have the list itself. Notice that we have our old friend Oxford comma right there. Just a little side note. But the colon, one of the main things it does is it introduces a list of things. So you introduce it, then the colon tells me the list will follow, and then you have the list. Colon use number 2. Use a colon before a quotation. So, for example, Albert Einstein scoffed at the notion of his genius, colon. I have no special talents, I am only passionately curious, he said. This is a way of introducing quotes that I think people could use more. But to do it, you have to have 2 independent clauses. This is an independent clause, and of course the quote following it is an independent clause. A lot of times people have an independent clause that introduces the quote, which is an independent clause. There's a citation, blah, blah, blah. But instead they put a comma there. And that's wrong. You can't do that. But if you change that comma into a colon, that's correct. So both sides need to be an independent clause for that to work. But it is a good way to introduce quotes. And finally, colon use number 3. Use a colon between independent clauses when the second clause explains the first. So, first clause, Gerald realized his mistake too late. Now that is an independent clause because it's got a subject and a verb. It's a full idea. And then we have a colon. And then it says, he failed to study for the English quiz and would now fail miserably. Well, the part about failing to study and failing miserably clarifies the mistake that the first part mentions. So the second part of the sentence after the colon is an explanation of what came before. It explains what the mistake was. And that's how the colon functions. The colon tells the reader, I mentioned this mistake, and now I'm going to explain what the mistake was. And that's all for the colon. See you next time.